Hey guys, it's Kevin again from Spirited Twilight and KevHunt.com, and today I wanted to talk to you about, in the second episode, the different type of wires that you can purchase or use when making your jewelry. And these are some that I personally use when making jewelry, but also using for practice as well. Now, some wires are a lot more expensive than others, so you certainly want to be aware of that. If you're starting out, you don't want to buy something expensive, and then unfortunately, it doesn't work out to your advantage or the way that you wanted to. So, let's go over a few things based on wires, the types of wires, the shape of the wire, and how they're made. So, let's start off with the number one wire that I use mostly. This is sterling silver. Okay, and this is also a square shaped wire. I almost said copper, but I have copper wire too. Uh, but you can't really see, but it's kind of, I should have taken that tag off. It's kind of a square shape, per se. Like, you can hear me scratching a little bit. Okay, that's because it has edges on it, and it's actually square in shape of the wire itself. This square wire can be used specifically for larger pieces, or if you have stones that are a little harder to wrap, that may have a kind of an odd shape to them. And the square wire allows you to grip on the stone a little bit better. Now, keep in mind, and I say this based on my own personal preference, is if someone came to me with a piece of resin, okay, which is a man-made stone, and it's made from a resin material, which is a plastic or rubber, I personally would not wrap it. And the reason being is because when you have a piece of resin, because of it being a piece of plastic, you could scratch it very easily compared to a natural stone. So, with that being said, especially with the square and half round, I'll go over the half round in a second, stone, or not stones, but wires that you can purchase, they have a sharp edge on them. So you have to be very careful if you're going to wrap resin material. Again, natural stones, you don't have that issue, especially with the ones that have a clear coat finish like I showed you in the first video. So, that leads me to wire number two. And this second wire, actually I bought from the same company as the sterling. This is a silver filled wire. So this is filled with sterling silver, okay? And this is also a half round, which means that it's flat on one side and rounded on the other. And that helps keeping the wire in place as well compared to full round wires. And full round wires are very common to use when wrapping jewelry. Most people use it when they start out with them because they're less expensive to use. But not only that, you can get them everywhere at Michael's, at Joann Fabrics, at craft stores. You can find it everywhere. The half round and square wires you can find on Amazon, but I ordered mine from Rio Grande. And I like Rio Grande because they offer shipping, they do their own wires, they don't order out, they're not outsourced. They're a actual company that produces their own wires, they know exactly what goes into them. Okay? This one here is very small, and I believe this is a 24 gauge, so this is quite thin. And I also have a 22, and the square wire that I showed you is actually a 20 or an 18. I believe it's a 20. Anyway, so the sterling silver square wire is a 20 gauge, which is a lot thicker. Now, going into the next type of wire, this is a wire that I use to practice with if I'm not sure how I'm going to create something such as an intricate design, like maybe a flower that I'm going to weave into something about this big and then place a stone in the center. This is aluminum wire, but this is also, I got this off Amazon by the way. It's made from aluminum, but it's coated with a copper or a rose gold. Now, I call it a rose gold because when you compare it to actual copper wire, you can see that the copper wire is a little bit darker. But this also has a finish on it that prevents it from wearing off. Unfortunately, with my experience, it still comes off pretty easily. So this wire is made primarily for if you're like making a wreath and you're wrapping things into the wreath for the holiday season, or making, any type of an arrangement, whether it's floral or something you're using, like you're putting just knickknacks together, or what have you. That's what you use this wire for. It's very, very inexpensive. It looks pretty, and that's what I thought when I first bought it. I thought, oh wow, okay, that's really inexpensive. Let me try it. And then I realized it was aluminum, and I'm going, yeah, aluminum will rust. No. So this is a good practice wire, but I wouldn't recommend it making for jewelry and selling it if you're going to, or having it last for a long period of time. The next wire that I have is a copper-based, and it has a gold overlay, as you can see, and it has a copper core. It's a gold overlay, but this is not real gold at all. It's just a color with a layer of anti-tarnish finish on top. So this will help last. It'll help make it last for a while. I've actually used this before. It's okay. I just don't like gold, and I usually don't sell a lot of gold. Again, I would make it for people that request it because I have it, but I don't normally make it and sell it at my shows or online on my website. So next, we have silver. Now, this silver is actually a tarnish. Okay, just want to make sure. This is also silver too. These are both silver that have a copper core. So as you can see, some of them are very tiny. This is probably a 26 gauge. 24. Okay, this is a 24 gauge. And then this one is a 22. So you can see how much thicker it is based on the other. But both of these wires have a copper core, and then they have an overlay of a fake silver with an anti-tarnish finish on top. This I use a lot because it helps me keep the cost down on the jewelry that I make, but I let the customer know, hey, it's copper in the center, plus copper, if you're into spiritual lifestyles, copper helps move energy from an object to you, or you to an object, or vice versa, or what have you. It keeps the energy flowing. As you notice, a lot of people who wear copper wristbands, or they may have a copper wrap around their center because they have a piece of copper on their back within the material. That helps circulation, helps the blood flow, and helps prevent pain. So that's a good benefit of using copper itself. And again, this is an anti-tarnish finish, so it's not real silver. Then you have the real copper, and let me just show you the difference in this. Okay, now, this is the fake stuff, this is the real stuff. This is what fake copper sounds like. Okay, when you drop it, this is what real copper sounds like. There's a huge difference, and I apologize if you went deaf there. But this is real copper wire. It is unfinished. It has 100% copper. So this can be antiqued if you'd like it to be. You can put this in a solution that you can purchase online, and you can age it or antique it, and it looks really pretty if that's what you like. These also need to be polished every now and then. Excuse me. Because of there is no anti-tarnish finish on top of this wire. In addition to that, I also have a copper core wire with a color on top. This one is black, Now, this, I've had some luck wrapping some things, but not much. And the reason being is because this is a rubber coating on top of the wire, and unfortunately, it peels off very, very easily. So if you're looking for something that you want to wrap that has a color finish on top of it, you have to be very careful on what you're wrapping. And you can't crimp, you can't do anything with your pliers or your tools because it's going to take the finish right off. And that's something I don't recommend is using the color unless it's something specific that you're using. We also have, I have an antique finish copper core wire, and that's an antique finish with the clear coat or anti-tarnish coat on top. Again, these you can get at Michael's, you can get at Amazon, you can get at Joann's, any craft stores usually have them. This one I actually bought at Michael's, and this is a 20 gauge reddish copper. I thought it was really pretty, so I thought some people might like this. And this copper has an anti-tarnish finish with a copper core, but it is colored. And this color, look at it real quick. Okay, it is an overlay. If you look at the actual wire in the center where my finger is, you can actually look at the wire straight into it. You can see that there may be a flashing piece of like copper, which indicates that it is a copper core wire. After you wrap something or you purchase something that's wrapped, you can't tell. So you have to watch when you're buying too. And that's the reason why I have different price points on my Etsy store is when I have the overlays versus the real sterling versus the fitted sterling, the prices are different based on not just the quality, because all the quality is really good. It's the actual material itself. So when you're looking at sterling silver, you're looking at sterling silver like you have a sterling silver ring. That's something that is, goodness, a lot of money if you buy it to wrap jewelry with. The silver filled is where they're taking the actual wire itself, and instead of putting an overlay on top of the wire, they're actually making the wire where the sterling silver is embedded, where it melts into the wire and it looks like one piece. So, that being said, if the sterling silver should wear away on a sterling silver filled item or filled wire, it won't change the look. It'll still look silver because that sterling silver is infused all the way through the wire, through each and every strand of wire inside of the wire itself, if that makes sense. So that's what you're looking at when you're looking at different wires, so on and so forth, and when you're using them, because they can be very, very expensive. This one I bought at, well, this is the antique brass color. It's a little lighter than the other one I just showed you, but it's a 22 gauge. It's made by Beadalon. You can see it's a 22 gauge, and then the round circle, that means that it is a round wire. Now, round wires, while I'm still talking about that, is round wires are good to wrap with if you have a piece that's flat, like I showed you in the previous video, such as the piece of amber. It was flat, or the moonstone, it was flat and it was round. So it's easy to wrap with those because it's a flat piece. It's not a three-dimensional piece like a square or a circle, which could be a little bit more difficult to wrap. You can still do it, but it's very tricky. So you have to be a little bit more on the advanced side in order to do that, or experienced. I don't want to say advanced, but experienced. And of course, as you go, you'll learn more and more about different wires as you come across them. You can also order 24 karat gold wires. You can order 18 karat gold wires. You can order gold filled wires from RioGrande.com if you'd like to check them out. And I guess that's it for today. I showed you everything that I have currently. But the next video is going to be about... Check really fast. I have everything in my day runner. my bullet journal. The next is going to be wrapping. So we're going to go into physical wrapping in the next video with holes in the stones and stones without holes. So that's going to be a two-part video. It's going to be a simple wrap because it takes a while to wrap a piece of jewelry. And then, of course, the next one is going to be basic wrapping. So without holes, we're going to do basic wrapping on how to complete a full pendant and how to create a bail, which is the top portion of your actual pendant itself, the one that connects to whatever you're attaching it to hang around your neck. And then, of course, we'll go into final touches such as crimping and shaping in the last video that I have set up. So I will see you in video number 3, and that will be next week following this video, and I hope to see you then. Take care. Bye.